This is our reorganization meeting, and so first off, we'll start with approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I've moved to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor vote yes. Yes. All those opposed vote no. All right, and then we will go to our district mission. The mission of USD 489 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 489 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, effective management of resources. Also vital to keeping focus on the district's mission and vision are that the USD 489 Board of Education supports the district's core values, being a champion for all kids, bringing your best every day, carrying the banner of your school and district, and selling and creating possibilities and opportunities for students for their futures. All right, so that brings us to 2 and we start with the election of the board president. At this time, I'm going to ask, are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Kurt Viner.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, and then I'll nominate myself.
I was going to do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go.
I'll second your nomination.
All right. All right, at this time, any discussion at all before we move into motion? All right. Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is so different from the way we've done it before. So I'm just going to maybe say a thing that Ken has been doing an excellent job as president, helping set the agenda and also being present at the meetings. He's listened to concerns and carried through on action that was requested. Say solid leadership. So I appreciate the work that you've done over the last year, and I support that work going forward.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Is this like someone makes a motion, we vote yay or nay, or is this like...
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
I vote for this.
We've never had it where we've had two people running, so that's what I think we'll do.
Yeah, there has been in the past, so...
Not in my time on the board.
Yeah, what do they do?
Well, it's just like a normal election. You say all in favor so-and-so, all in favor. The other would be parliamentary procedure.
So it's not yay and nay, it's all in favor or all in favor?
All in favor of this nomination. You have two nominations. All in favor of Mr. Viner, all in favor of Mr. Brooks. And then I would think that would maybe Mr. Jeter would be better. But I think it's just like an election.
Okay. All right. We'll do it that way then. All right. All in favor of Kurt Viner as president, say...
What's the motion supposed to say?
I don't think we make the motion until the vote is done. Like, I think once the vote is done...
Then we make a motion for that person. Yeah, okay.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants, so...
Okay. All right, well then, all those in favor of Kurt Viner for president, say yay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of...
How many?
Yeah, how many was that? Oh, you know what? Let's do a raising hand. All those in favor of Kurt Viner for president, raise your hand. All right, well, there's a majority right there. So I'll make the motion for Kurt Viner for president.
I second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes.
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 All those opposed vote no. No. All right, Kurt, I'll have you come over here, take over the meeting.
says he is.
Because it's not shown, your votes aren't shown.
Yeah, okay. Let me try this one.
Because I did.
Okay, gotcha.
What was the vote on the motion, Jess?
5-2.
Motion passes 5-2. Election of board vice president. We will now take nominations for the vice president spot.
Mr. President,
Yes?
I nominate Jamie Getz.
A second.
We have a motion and a second for Jamie Getz. Anybody else?
I'd make a motion to nominate Megan.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations?
I would like to motion to nominate Ken Brooks. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Making it pretty tough to get.
Yeah, majority.
Sorry.
Do we have a second for Ken?
A second.
Okay. We have Jamie, Megan, and Ken. Anybody else being nominated? Okay. We need to have a majority, so I would assume if we all three we vote, we'll go down the line, Jamie, Megan, Ken. If we don't have a majority of 4, then when we end up with the 2 at the most, the highest 2, then we'll go from there. Does that make fair enough for everybody? All righty. Again, it's going to go Jamie, Megan, Ken. All those in favor of Jamie, raise your hand, please.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. All those in favor of Megan, please raise your hand. Okay. All those in favor of Ken, please raise your hand. Okay.
You know what, I'll bow out. Let's just let the two of them, let's vote again with the 2 of them.
You're okay with that? It was 3, 2, and 2 from what I got.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to vote again between Jamie and Megan. Okay. All those in favor of Jamie, raise your right hand. Okay, that's 4. So I think we're good. So we'll need a motion to move Jamie in as vice president.
I will move to nominate Jamie Getz as vice president of the school board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote yes.
Yes. Yes.
And those opposed, no.
You guys are too nice.
It's not coming up. I said yes.
I can't see that far. Is that 7-0, Jess?
It is.
7-0? 7-0, that Jamie is the vice president. Okay, next on agenda is election of board clerk, keeper of records, and deputy board clerk. Anybody would like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Jess Reeling as board clerk and keeper of the records for 24-25 and Renee Booth as deputy board clerk for KSA 72-8202C.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Are we good, Jess? All those in favor vote yes.
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 All those opposed say no.
Yeah, sorry.
Passes 7-0. Next up on reorganization of Board of Education is election of board treasurer.
I would make a motion to appoint Carla Fellholter as the Board of Education Treasurer for 24-25 for KSA 72-8202D.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for Carla Fellholter for the Board Treasurer. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed? Are you a yes, Alan?
Yeah.
Yes.
7-0? Jess, is that correct?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Okay, on tonight's consent agenda, we started talking about this reorganization. So this is all a little bit of procedural acts that the board has to take at the July meeting. So I'll run through these real quickly. Of course, you have board meeting minutes from last month's meeting. We also have an ECC record report. Homeless student liaison, that is named Jess as the homeless student liaison. Board attorney contract is in there. Bill's contract that he submits every year. For the last 58 years, he hasn't fixed his records. I think for something however long. It's been a long time, so it's the same rate as last year. Compliance coordinator for anti-discrimination laws. That would be myself. Public information officer, once again, that would be myself. The CABR's authorized representative and for, I believe it's Nancy Schuyler, who works in our employee services offices upstairs. It's naming the building principals to enforce compulsory school attendance. The Title I representative would be naming Shanna as a Title I representative. Federal Nutrition Services representative would be Jessica Yonkers. Official district newspaper for publication of school notices. It's the Hayes Daily News that we have to, that it has to be an actual print newspaper at this point. It's also clarifying that we will go on the 1,116-hour school calendar for the upcoming school year. We will also, just a procedural, we'll make the gap procedure, just something that we do every year. There's some guidelines for activity funds, that all of our schools have activity funds, the ability to have activity funds as accounts of their buildings, and also just the establishing petty cash limits for each building. We're naming the official depositories for all of our district funds. You can see the list there. We really put our money in about everything that's available here in Hayes. Different amounts, of course. Commerce Bank, which holds the majority of our funds. Resolution to allow the destruction of records. That's just, we have some records that we'll get rid of once you approve. Set the annual records fee. That's just to someone request records. It's 25 cents per page plus labor, time spent to report, find the records and then get them sent. Freedom of Information Officer, that is Jess. Signature card approval, that's just now with the new president, vice president, that will be getting new signatures for signing checks. Foster care liaison is itself. District auditor is naming Adam Brown as our district auditor. Resolution to adopt the LOP percentage. This is just procedural where we adopt the 32% statewide LOP percentage. We also have a contract with Heart Spring. This is because of Russell now joining our SPED co-op. We'll be taking on the contract that they have currently with Heart Springs. And that would be something the board would need to approve. We have all our financials and all of this.
Probably the one I want to talk about would be the end of year transfers. So now that we're past July 1, we're in the process of closing out FY24, the fiscal year 24. So it'll still be open. These numbers aren't final because our July 25th payroll was would still have a couple of weeks of June pay in it. And so, but it's within 15,000. It'll just be journal entry to zero out all of the salary codes. In looking at our cash transfers and then the cash balances, at the end of FY24, we'll end the year at about 10.7%, 10.8% of operating funds in cash carryover. Now, legislative post-audit back in 2021 referenced or decided that 15% should be, 10 to 15% should be the target. We're not there, but we generally operate between around that 8 to 10% mark anyway, and that's comfortable for us as a district. So overall cash balance is strong. Remember, that is coming off of 3 years of influx of federal money. So we have been able to grow the cash balance a little bit. It will come down a little bit, I'd say closer to that 8 or 9% again next year, because we're picking up those positions that were ESSER funded, and then with the raises and increase in costs and everything else. So I would anticipate it'll come back down to that 8 or 9% range, but overall solid, comfortable cash balances.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda or
Mr.
remove?
President?
Yes, sir.
I would like to remove item 3.4, I think it is.
3 point what?
3.4.
3.4 board attorney contract.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
What was the school hour calendar last year? Like,
Same calendar, 1,160 hours. That's the minimum amount of hours that you have to go those amount of hours. You go more than that.
Gotcha.
How many more do we?
I don't really have the number just off the top of my head, but we're 80 hours over approximately.
8, 10 school days then,
Yeah.
probably? Okay.
I'd like to move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say yes.
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 Yes. All those opposed, say no. 7-0.
I'm here and now in the vote.
Passes 7-0. Next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to speak? Seeing none, I will bypass the reading then. Superintendent's report. Mr. Wilson? I'm sorry. You need-
Is yours doing that?
In front of that one, so I have to walk back in. I was on the other view, so that's why.
I think technology today is upset with the heat, and it's moving about as slow as we are, and I think that's okay.
It's all
Just go chickens.
just all minutes.
The $1 million project, man.
Okay. First of all, I would like to just share our condolences for the passing of Marilyn Jensen. Marilyn was a longtime paraprofessional in our district. She served over 30 years in our district as a paraprofessional. We have plenty of teachers who teach for 30 years. I mean, that's pretty common. We don't have many paraprofessionals who serve in our district for 30 years. And Marilyn was a stalwart math. She kind of just fell into the last many years, I don't know exactly how many years, has been in high school working with math special ed students. And so our condolences to Marilyn's family and just how
She was a good gal. Her grandson's getting married in a couple weeks too, Peyton. Wow.
And if I can say something, she was my para for 7-8 years.
Oh, wow.
She was incredible. She had her degree in mathematics. She was exceptional at her job. And I know the math department, as well as Hayes High, is just devastated with her loss. Like, not just the loss of a person, she was truly like a backbone of helping those kids. She knew exactly what to do when you went in the classroom. She was there, she found those kids, she made those connections, and she was right there helping them every step of the way. Sometimes helping them for her looked like just sitting and being there, and other times it was a little more strenuous, and she rose to the challenge every single day. I know she had a lot of health issues, and she battled them very well. And she showed up many days when she should not have, but she knew that we would be lost without her, and it really is a huge loss. And we would just like to tell her thank you, because we are lost without her.
Was she a para up till her passing?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, that's I can't find it. I can't.
It's all good.
I know. Stay right here, guys.
I've had those days.
Where's that? Oh, there it is. No, yeah. Okay, just a little bit on the bond. I won't go too much in it. You have the information on pictures and everything. But I do want to talk a little bit about our meeting on August 5th, which is our board work session. Planning to take the entire board through the high school site as well as Roseville site on that day. So just don't wear your high heels or anything that you can get your toes smashed. So just know that as you walk the site. So projects are looking great. They're, it's fun to hear from people who drive by on 13th Street, haven't been out there for a while, and just like, kind of, it's like that one of those moments, like, wow, that thing is really going up. It's really that. And once you get the opportunity to get out on the site, I was just last week up on the second floor. It's incredible, some of the sites that we're going to be able to see on those videos. So, let's talk a little bit about summer projects. Just to kind of update the board on where we're at, some of the things that you have approved and where we're at. Wilson Elementary parking lot looks great out there. Of course, that street out front looks great, but also just our parking lot. So that's been a real improvement there.
That's complete? It's complete, isn't it?
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, all fantastic. Oh, yeah, with striping, we're still waiting on striping.
And your crosswalks for parents that can't pay attention?
Yeah. But very pleased. Warrior Brothers Construction did the concrete work, and we're very pleased with them. Laughlin Elementary, of course, got an HVAC project still ongoing. This is the second year of that. It's basically working on the corridors, the hallways, and it was a little messy there for a while, but pretty much have wrapped that up. As well as some asbestos abatement things for some of the fittings that we needed to take care of. So things are working good there. Hayes Middle School, we you guys approved a new freezer out at Hayes Middle, and so basically we took the big freezer out that was set inside our kitchen, and we took that old freezer out and put a new freezer outside, and created a lot of space, extra space. It's amazing how much extra space it created inside of Hayes Middle School. So I think almost a little bit of flooring things they're still working on, but for the most part, pretty much wrapped up there, as well as they did a little bit of asbestos abatement inside Hayes Middle School this year. Hayes High, the HVAC project is still ongoing out there. It's been, I don't know if we really understand how massive a project that has been. I was just out there today. Things are really moving along really well. I would not have said that 2 weeks ago, but it looks pretty good today. Just very appreciative for Glassman for what they're doing out there, and looks like things will be wrapped up around the 1st of August, or the week end of August, so we should be good to go. They'll be moving the office back into the office area next week, so will start working out of the office area. So it's going to be really nice for that in some of those cool areas. Also wanted to share that the Safe and Secure Schools grant, our district applied for it, and we received notification last week that we received $12,500, which will go towards helping us renew our Raptor emergency notification system. So thankful for that. And then Chris has some things on the revenue neutral and budgetary. Yep.
So revenue neutral rate, there's a handout in your package, just pull that up. But if you remember, the revenue neutral rate became maybe 4 years ago now, adds a couple of steps and some timeline to budget hearing and budget adoption. So a district is deemed to exceed the revenue neutral rate if the dollar amount that you levy increases year over year. Okay, so it's tied to the mill rates, but it's also tied to county valuation and some other things. So this year, the state, the first 20 mills, the general fund goes to Topeka, comes back to us based on our student FTE. Doesn't have anything to do has to do with, but we don't collect the local taxes for general fund. That all goes to Topeka, comes back to us based on student FTE. That's set legislatively at 20 mils. So anytime the county valuation goes up, then typically you would exceed revenue neutral rate for general fund. This year, however, the legislature increased the home exemption from 42,000 to 75,000. So actually the general fund, despite the county went up, the county valuation went up about 5%. But we won't exceed the general fund revenue neutral rate because of that additional exemption for general fund. Then when you look at the other funds, the capital outlay is set at 8 mils. So because the county valuation went up, then that would exceed revenue neutral rate. We did lose some state aid, so capital outlay state aid went down from about 8% to about 3%. So even though we'll exceed revenue neutral rate, our revenue for capital outlay won't go up much because of the reduction in the capital outlay state aid. Bond and interest, the mill levy actually went down a little bit. That one really is determined based on cash flow and payments for the bond and interest fund. But because of cash on hand and the sales tax continuing to stay solid and helping to fund that bond repayment, we were able to come down just a little bit in the bond and interest mill levy. LOB or supplemental general, you'll see that mill levy went up a little bit too year over year. And if you slide down to that next slide, you got the comparison that we've done in the past of where we sit with similar sized schools and league schools to look at mill levy. Everything on the left side is FY24, so that's last school year because we're always reporting a year behind on state reporting. But then over on the right side, you'll see our FY23 mill rate and then the mill rate this year. Part of the reason, so there's about 3 different things that weighed in to that mill rate having to go up a little bit. One, county valuation goes up by 5%, so that means our general fund went up, so that increases the LOB a little bit. 2, and probably the biggest factor, is just like on capital outlay, we lost some supplemental general state aid, so we went from about 26.5% state aid for LOB down to 23.25%. So lost a significant portion of state aid went down in LOB, and so that means that the levy has to make up, so local taxes make up for less coming from Topeka there. And then the increase in special ed aid also increases the general fund, and so it plays in a little bit to the mill levy then for supplemental general. So timeline now, we notify the county of what our projected mill rates are. Mailing goes out to all property owners, and that happens after July 20th. Then we have to publish our budget, and then, so on September 9th, that'll be the meeting that we'll be able to do revenue neutral rate hearing as well as budget hearing. And so we have to publish at least 10 days, so before August 30th, we'll have that in the paper published, and then be able to do those hearings on September 9th. One thing probably maybe worth noting that what the state just scrolled me into it. So in that green box up there, we did this last year. Yeah, right there. So we did this last year based on a $200,000 home. So if your home last year, and the valuations are actually finalized in November, so the years never quite line up. But let's say last year your home was valued at $200,000. If it went up 5%, which was the county average increase in valuation, if it went up 5%, with even though our LOB goes up a little bit, the levy goes up a little bit, the actual increase in property taxes on that home, which is now worth 200 and whatever it is on the sheet there, the increase in taxes is about $19.72. Now, not every home goes up exactly 5%. It's all based on the assessor. But looking at county averages just kind of help give you an idea of what the impact is. So the state relief on general fund is a huge help.
Good. Thank you. Next, go ahead. Yes?
So you're comparing residential, but you're not comparing
Right. Commercial and ag are not valued the same way, so it's a lot harder to put together. You almost have to give it the assessor to get the valuation. Farmland is based on productivity and proven yields and things like that, so I don't have a good example of that. So we're looking at.
I've talked to some property owners who have rental properties, and they're really concerned because they've had their commercial properties for the rental property is skyrocketing. And so they have to pass it on to their tenants, which is a lot of our families who rent property, rent apartments. And so now it's even hard, even going up from 300 to 350 a month. So that's something we also look at to see what kind of impact it has on our families, what we're doing as far as asking more.
Well, have they contested the taxes, though?
What's that?
Have they contested the assessed values, though? Or are they just telling you? That's the first thing they need to do, is to go to the county
I understand
appraiser
that, but
and
they're
test it there.
That's
'Cause, I mean,
in the past has been not.
well, if you ask the county appraiser, I mean, he and Lisa Ree in the past could probably tell you, a lot of times they do get contested. That, I mean, and then they go back, so.
Well,
That's
that
where I
doesn't help
suggest that they first go.
That doesn't help the increase in the bond that's added to property taxes.
Right, but I'm saying if I mean, we look at the mill levy here and what we're supposed to do, but they need to do their work as far as that goes too, instead of the school board looking at it first. I guess that's where they need to go first, I think.
So when you're looking at this, so we are doing revenue neutral.
Yes, we would exceed revenue neutral, yes.
And so capital outlay, we're increasing $200,000 that we had last year.
Yes, based on the mill levy. Now, again, our revenue and capital outlay won't go up by that amount because we're losing state aid. The state aid for capital outlay went down.
Is it possible for you to get like what the numbers were since the net neutral came out? You said it was 4 years ago they made the law. Like what the total dollar number was across those 4 years and all the different funds? Because we talked a lot about mill levy and percentages and all this sort of stuff, but like the actual how much money it was for each fund over the last 4 years. I think that'd make it easier.
Yes, that would be possible.
Are you going to
Are
say?
you looking at do you want the example of a home that was worth $2,000 or $200,000 4 years ago and what that property is worth now?
No, I want the overall dollar amount that we assessed that we brought in for each of the funds. Like, so what was the actual amount of money that the taxpayers, or the district paid?
Yes.
We can do that.
How are we going to get that? How will we get that? You going to send it out?
That'd be something probably bring back to maybe the next
August.
session or the retreat that's coming up.
Okay. Fair enough. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Next is action discussion items, 6.1, student handbooks.
Yeah, this is the first read on student handbooks. I tried to highlight some of the changes, very few changes in elementary handbook. Just, I think the big thing, the one thing, the only thing, is just any absences spanning multiple days are going to require daily notification. Instead of just, if you think the kid's going to be sick for a week, you're going to have to call every day.
Does that apply to like, hey, we're going out of town for a family wedding, we're going to be gone Thursday, Friday?
That's a good question, Jamie. I don't know the answer.
Or Christmas or whatever they take.
I think I would guess for like vacation, you let them know.
You're just saying for illness.
If it's sick, it's a little different.
Got it.
You want to know everything.
That's fine.
Hayes Middle School, of course, has the absences policy. This is kind of the policy that we're putting in place all across the district. Just talking a little bit about students arriving after 8:05, they have to report to the office to get a pass. Also, food and drink and microwave popcorn.
Must be a hot.
Yeah. I guess
It must be popular. Must be popular.
Microwave popcorn are probably not very much fun. Hayes High School, really not a lot of big things. They moved their schedule to 85 minutes and they created a 10-minute passing period for the second breakfast. Remember, we did free breakfast last year and we were going to continue that. So the second breakfast in high school has been a big hit. And of course, they just need more time to get kids through. The teachers really felt strongly about the importance of giving kids the ability to get something to eat.
So end of first hour or beginning of second hour?
Yeah, I think it's still in that
Time slot?
I never get it. They're now putting if you come to GPS, there's no cell phones allowed in there, which will be a big change for some students who have that. Freshman success seminar.
Hold on.
Mr.
Yes, it's like a guided
Guidance
study.
is,
Okay.
So it's like a study hall seminar type deal where they do
they're in
their homework.
They're in it every other day. And then if you're a teacher, you can and they hit your hour, you can request them to come down to your room, make up tests and stuff. Or you can send your test down there to help them make up work. Yeah. But there is also a homeroom too.
Yeah. Well, there's like a seminar homeroom for.
Yeah. So there's another. So there's one that you see every day, and then there's this one, which when it came to be, my kids were doing homework from their dad, but I mean they were doing to 10:30. When we put in GPS, my kids had lives again because they would get. I mean, they didn't want to do it, and they wanted their free time, so they would get to work, and they'd bring some home, but 8 o'clock they'd have a life instead of. But
I guess why there's no cell phones with that compared to this. So I've talked to like a school board member from Great Bend, and they got rid of cell phones within the school altogether. And they said there was a lot of pushback initially, but that students, teachers, everybody actually thinks that is beneficial.
We have, and I want to clarify, we don't allow cell phones. If it's a teacher, they call it red. So they can say, this is a red class for cell phones. And so that means cell phones are not out, they're not used. Occasionally, a teacher might go green on cell phones because of something, not an activity that they're using, or maybe they have some free time or something like that. So but with GPS, kids were coming in there every day, and that's, instead of doing homework, they were on their phone, which was also causing the ripple effect across the campus.
And then
I think it might be easier to not have them all together, then there's no ambiguity.
I think at some point we'll probably have that as an agenda item to discuss.
But the GPS is a good idea because them poor instructors to battle that with 70, 90 kids,
Yeah.
it's got to be a nightmare.
It's hard.
So when you say red zone, Ron, is it, are they
just kept in their book bags, or do they
Yeah, I
confiscate
mean,
the
they're
phone?
not out. I think they're on their possession, but they're not out.
Okay.
There are classes where they actually put it in pockets. I don't know how many, but we do have a few classes where teachers have you put them in pockets as you come to the classroom. So it's kind of, we give teachers a little
Some leeway.
autonomy to dictate what works for them.
I found it's a good bathroom pass if they leave it on your desk, because somebody had to go to the bathroom every day when you let them go with their phones. So, I mean, it's the teacher.
Freshman Success Seminar, this is the class that they're adding this year, and they're just going to give a quarter credit for, and this is just kind of getting freshmen more oriented, kind of an orientation class for freshmen to help have some success early on.
Is there someone from the high school? I think that's so exciting, and I just
Is that gonna
wanted to
be
hear
a-
a little more about it. Is there someone from the high school here,
No,
or
there's no one here. Yeah, we'll get you information.
I think that's
Is it embedded in GPS? Where's it?
Yeah.
Is it on top of something or embedded in GPS?
It's supposed to, from what I know, it's going to be part of the GPS class.
Okay. No.
I
Okay.
don't know much more than that in terms of how it's
Okay.
going to be presented or what's going to be presented. We can definitely be in.
But GPS is still multiple classes, right? I mean, junior, seniors mixed, it's not,
Yeah, I mean, there's been a push to eliminate seniors from GPS and even some juniors. That's primarily just some of your lower grades.
but not all of them, right?
No, anyone who wants to
Got
take.
it, okay.
But the thing is, they're probably trying to get kids who really don't want to be in GPS. It used to be it had to be mandatory. Everyone had to take GPS. If a kid doesn't want to take GPS, they don't see a need for it. They're trying to get it into their classes.
Opens up for more classes like
That's great.
career education.
Yeah,
some of those, yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
It's required for freshmen, and it's, I think, required for sophomores, but juniors and seniors have some flexibility.
Teacher's going to sign, I mean, parents going to sign off? We have,
That I can't, I don't know if they have to sign.
I don't want my juniors saying I don't need it and I didn't know about it, so,
I can ask them.
yeah, okay.
Flex scheduling, that, I don't even honestly know what that means. And if there's something that we need to clarify, we'll clarify that. The grad requirements, that is just updated to the current language. If you remember, the incoming freshmen have some different requirements for graduation, and so they just updated those requirements. Commencement, they're going to allow, this is not necessarily not allowed. They were not, it's one that they weren't allowing the military sash. It was just trying to keep it controllable. So not everyone's wearing their own regalia. And this is, they will allow military sash, but it's not going to be your homemade military or sash for graduation. Also, implementing at high school events, no outside food or drink, adults and students. That's pretty standard across our league, just outside drinks are not allowed. And we'll be doing some walking for metal detecting walking for students. So just talking a little bit, there's also language just a little bit about over-the-counter medications and what that might look like and what would clarify some of those things. And then just some parking lot etiquette things, just in terms of to keep everyone safe in the parking.
I did have a question about the parking lot.
Yep.
It said, students are expected to vacate the parking lot in a safe and timely manner without loitering, generally not longer than 20 minutes after the dismissal bell. I just want to make sure that applies only to the parking lot, like not the standing area in front of the school, like for the students waiting for their parents?
Yeah, I think it's just more about some of the problems that have existed is where
Right.
wants to hang around the vehicle, and then we have some issues. We've had some issues.
The group that brought the couches and chairs so they could lounge for an hour or two.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't think this applies to standing outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got more around the vehicles.
Okay.
So, like I said, this is first read. We will approve these at the next work session on the 5th, that would be the 19th. So, if we have questions, the principals will be available.
the change to the flex, Becky and I had worked on that just because of some kids needing language, limiting kids to 2 hours of flex, 2 periods of flexing out. So that's a career exploration, which is a great thing, but we have to limit them to 2 hours. And then just some language about making sure that some of the requirements and tying that career exploration to a pathway and making it CTE relevant. So it just clarification there.
Okay. I read all these handbooks. The elementary one on page 4, for whoever needs to clean it up. Underneath the school board, we have a Curtis Yarmer, Tammy Wellbrock, and we have no Jamie Yitz. So I don't know, but if that somebody needs to clean that.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll only be a little offended, but not for very long. 'Cause it's
I had nothing to. I was reading handbooks. Okay. Next action discussion item is 6.2 KASB recommended board policy update, second read.
Okay, this is the second read, so asking for action. I just said for a point, there was some questions about some of the policies that don't align with discriminatory policies. Those 4 policies have all been removed from your agenda packet and will not be voting on them. That was because of the preliminary injunction that was granted by a federal judge in Kansas back in the 1st of July. So those have been removed. So going on to the policies, once again, just a quick summary. BC/BK is just a policy, just kind of addressing executive sessions and clarifying some language. We are doing everything exactly how the policy is being written for. It's just kind of cleaning it up, so don't see any issues there. The hiring, the policy for policy CJ hiring and consultants, just it's cleaning up the policy just to so the district or the board knows that when consultants can be engaged and how the engagements are reported to the board. Shouldn't find anything there. Policies EBBG, that is the cardiac emergency response plan. Once again, this is just because of during the 2024 legislative session, law was passed requiring school boards to establish a cardiac emergency response plan. We'll be working with Jessica Rowe, our head school nurse, to work on that during the upcoming school year. And once we're finished with that, we'll share that. Policy EF, once again, that is food service management. That is just during COVID, there was a policy change that we could serve kids who were not at school because those have all the COVID regulations have been now stopped. We're going back to the policy that for us to serve meals, you have to be at one of our facilities. So meaning we can't ship food to someone who is a remote learner.
What, does that affect summer lunches?
No, it's
Okay.
only just during school.
Okay.
Homeschools or some of those.
Policy IC, let's see here. Policy IC is curriculum development. It's a different letter, that's why I can't find it.
Which one are we after?
That makes sense. ID, that's right. We talked about that last time. That didn't change. ID, just it basically changes the word certified to license. That's all it does. So there you go. A lot of work to get that done. Policy IF, just policy was amended to add some criteria for the board to consider prior to sending a review request. So if a material has been reviewed once already, the board then can decide not to review it because it has already been reviewed. Just giving you some more, I guess, leeway in terms of not having to constantly review materials if that's the case. Policy JPE is the updated earnings and employment rates that have changed. Policy JGFGC is just those administration of emergency opioid antagonists. This is basically anyone who is in our district who has the ability to administer like Narcan. It's just kind of giving some guideline on some training and things that they need to happen before they are actually, and really we're doing this already, but we'll follow that policy. Once again, I'll work with Jessica to make sure that we are following all those policies. The next one, student activities, is this is the new policy with the change in last year's legislative session that virtual students can now participate in extracurricular activities, and they don't actually have to come take a class at your campus. It used to be that if you were a virtual student, you had to come take one class at the school to participate in an extracurricular activity. This is just changing that policy so any virtual students can participate in extracurricular activities without attending their school for at least one class. And the disposal of district property, that is just kind of refining that the law that was established a year ago that the legislature has the option to purchase property from a school district before we sell it to anybody else. This is just kind of cleaning that up, meaning now there's a legislative coordinating council who can act on behalf of the legislative session. So the legislative doesn't have to be in session when we want to sell or dispose of the building. So just kind of clarifying that. So that's, in a nutshell, that is a summary of all the policies. Once again, those other four have been eliminated. So,
Mr. President,
Yes, Megan.
I'd like to move to approve these policies.
Okay, anybody second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions for Mr. Wilson?
I do have a question for Mr. Jeter. Bill, you review all of those policies for us in advance as well.
And we're good? Yes. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All those in favor, please vote yes.
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 All those opposed, vote no. Passes 7-0. Next on action discussion items is 6.3, board committee appointments. And provided there's a list and members that are on them, I guess if somebody wants off, somebody wants on, we can have that discussion if
Mr.
so be.
President,
Yes, sir.
the negotiation team is normally put together in the spring. This is the first time that they've done it in year advance without it's supposed to be done by the president, or the new president would be involved in that. So I think that should be removed.
So the negotiation team, you're proposing that should be set at a later time.
I mean, this is something new. It's not all happening on.
Yeah, what I would suggest, Mr. President, because if you remember, because you were on the negotiation team, we did discuss that we're going to start negotiations earlier this year.
That's correct.
So you'll need to put together a team, but that's something you can do on your own time.
Because we're talking about the insurance stuff, and that is correct. So that would be a good idea to.
Yeah, and
I would agree with you.
I would like to stay on that team if I could.
Okay.
I also enjoyed my time.
I would like
Okay.
to.
Hold on. So Ken would like to stay. You as well. Okay. Anybody else?
I just have a comment. We have to make sure.
Well, Mr. Parker, I'm going to take care of the negotiation team first.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I understand.
Are you doing one?
Yes. Ken would like to stay. Megan would like to stay. Anybody else?
I would like to be added to that.
Okay. So Alan. Okay. As well as. All myself. So if we have 4, we got an issue, right?
No, you can, before the whole board could attend. So you just have to declare them as meetings if you want to do that. And
But we're having 3 or 4 or 5 of those, and then we meet before, don't we?
Yeah, that's why we can't.
they're public meetings and they could be, and it's been done in the past.
Because if you remember how we meet.
I understand. Nope.
I have a question. Does it mean that only 3 can be at the table, but others can be present if they would like?
Yeah, but you're not, that's why
You're not there as a representative.
Yeah, everybody can be there. Only 3 can be participating, because if you have 4, then you have a meeting.
And only those 3 can go into caucus.
That would be a true
Unless
statement.
it's a meeting.
Unless it's an official board meeting?
Yeah.
Got it.
Mr., I have
Then it would have to be, is that correct?
You could have the whole board as a negotiating team, but every
That's, yeah,
negotiation session would be
I got it, okay.
a meeting.
Mr. President, I suggest we table this to our retreat so that we can talk about it. I mean, we're moving it up a whole year, or a good 6 months, so maybe we just...
We were hopeful to, I think, start talking about insurance here in September, so we could wait till, but that's just, so you know, it's-
But August 5th would be our retreat.
yeah, we have time to do that.
Doable?
Yeah.
Okay. May I have an objection to that? Okay, we will,
Oh, Mr. President,
Go.
on the other,
I'm going to finish up the negotiation team. So,
Okay.
So negotiation team discussion will be moved to August 5th. Okay? Any other comments?
as far as the rest, because I've been in leadership, I haven't been on a committee. I would like to, if possible, I see Alan's on a couple of things, if I could do the 489 Foundation, I volunteer to do that.
I was going to mention that because the foundation has increased their numbers to 13, and we don't have 13. So I think we could have 2 board members on there. We could talk to them and see. And there may be somebody else that want to be, even up to 3 people could be involved with that probably. And they need as much help as we can want to volunteer.
I could be on that as well.
That's Christie, isn't it?
Well, it'd be the,
No, but she's in charge. She's the president.
she's the president. It's-
Will you let us know, Mr. Park, if that's a doable thing on August 5th?
Yes.
You will contact her and let us know? Is that fair enough?
We won't have a meeting until later.
August 5th we can discuss, though.
What I'm talking about, the foundation meeting will be before this. We can't talk about it, but I can talk to her.
Yeah, and let us know what she thinks.
Okay.
We good with that? Okay, any other discussions? Any other wishes? All right, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, this doesn't require approval.
Oh, thank you.
Just-
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now I hit too many buttons.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Maybe. Fun. Okay. 6.4, I didn't we did have 6.4, I didn't re-update mine.
Yes.
Okay. 6.4, I would assume, is the,
Personnel.
Here.
what happened to mine?
We just got to vote on personnel transactions.
Did it not update?
It didn't update. Okay. So personal transactions, thank you again. 6.4 is personal transactions that was removed from consent agenda. I requested that because I have a family member involved, so since that will take a vote and an appointment, I'm going to excuse myself, so Jamie, you're going to get to be in charge of that. Okay?
This is a lot for one day, I'd like you to know.
Don't go too far, because it's going to be quick.
I'll make the motion to approve the personnel transactions as presented.
I'll second.
Excellent. So, all those in favor vote yay.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, discussion,
Oh, we need
sorry.
discussion.
I do have a question. He's abstaining or because he has a family member on there. Is there anything saying we can't hire that family member?
Technically, there is a policy that says board members will not hire any one of their relatives, mother, father, daughter-in-law,
Right.
son-in-law, whatever.
But if
It does
he's-
not say step-on, so I think we're fine.
But if he's gone, it's okay, right? Because he had no say in it?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
It's a sustained vote.
Cool.
So we're fine.
I think we should definitely revisit this policy and see what, and we can do this at a later time, but I will vote against it just because I think we're not following policy.
Well, we are following policy, I think, because it says in case of an emergency and we need a cook, go in.
Yeah.
And she qualifies, and so I do think we are following policy. So.
That makes sense. I would agree that maybe we could revisit the policy and make it a little easier to not step on toes. Cool. Any more discussion? Cool. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, no?
No?
Motion passes 5-1. I'm learning on the fly here.
5-1.
Yo, great, thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Yes, boss. Since I haven't updated, are we at the end? Are we at the
We're
end?
at the last one, but I think something happened in mine.
Okay, so we should have one more, right?
6.5.
Okay, I did not. What?
Here.
Yes, okay. 6.5, Board of Education Attorney, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, don't need-
Okay, Mr. Park, you had that pulled?
Yes, sir. I was just wanting to know, ask Mr. Jeter a couple of questions if I could. This particular contract has been in force for how many years?
Wish you'd asked me that earlier, and I could add an answer. Probably
It's like about 10.
8 to 10 years, probably. If you want some history, before that, I was always paid by the hour. And normally it was the same hourly rate that KSB had. But during all those years, I was not required to come to board meetings. Most of my time was spent with negotiations, not only with AZNEA, but with the custodians union. Also, we had due process issues with teachers that created a lot of time. And the board then decided they wanted me to come to meetings. So we sat down and tried to figure out with the board president something that would be fair to both sides. And we kind of came up with this, which is why that hourly rate is in there, along with the per diem for coming to meetings. Now with that hourly rate, I don't do negotiations anymore with AZNEA, with interest-based bargaining. We don't have the custodians union, so we don't have that to do either. We don't have due process hearings. Any litigation normally would be covered by insurance, and the insurance company would hire an attorney. So I don't know how long it's been since that hourly rate was even used. And I looked at it again in revising this contract and decided that it's not used, and I'm just going to leave it the same way it is.
I had some questions about this last year, and there is some items in here that says if we go to 3 meetings, it bumps up to $3,000 a month. And but the problem is we have a third of our calendar, we only have 1 meeting. But there's no indication here if we just have 1 meeting a month, it goes down to $1,000. I think we could maybe talk about this. I also checked with KSB about the districts our size. It's very rare that we have districts our size that have the attorney attend every meeting. I think Mr. Jeter does an outstanding job. He's helped me many times. It has nothing to do with him, his firm, or anything. It's just, are we fiscally responsible.
But as board members, he lets us have access to him on non-board meeting nights. We can call him, ask questions about the legalities and our concerns, and he's always been there.
One thing it does do for the board and the administration is it's easy to budget what you're going to have to pay.
I agree.
The other thing is, like you mentioned, a lot of the things are changed. We don't have that many legal issues. We do have access to KSB on Monday nights by phone call. If we have something coming up, we can invite him to come and then go to that $1,000 meeting. I just think that when we're looking at 4 months, we have just one meeting, that it's not
Well,
equal.
I don't want to argue for me, but
Sure.
I'm not paid just to come to meetings. That retainer covers everything I do monthly for the district.
I personally,
Anytime the administration calls me, an individual board member, I don't bill extra for that. That comes right out of the retainer.
No, I would echo that as a superintendent. Bill and I talk, not every day by any means, but we do talk quite a bit, so there's no bill for that, so.
I personally feel a peace of mind, knowing Bill's right there. And I have no further discussion of that unless anybody else does.
I mean, I guess the only question that I still have is like 175 an hour sounds low to me for an
It is
attorney.
low.
It's extremely low.
Yeah.
So if we were to eliminate that retainer and ask to be billed on an annual or on an hourly, you're talking about
Well,
instead of 11 hours or something, then
probably
we're looking at
whatever,
maybe
and I don't know what
3 or 4
KSB's
hours
hourly
at the
rate
same
is,
price.
Probably whatever it is, which could be $300 an hour, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
But it'd be-
I'm not offended if the board makes a decision that they don't need me at every meeting.
No, but
I
this-
mean, before, I would come to meetings, but only at the request of the president or
Mm-hmm.
the superintendent.
I
We have a bar.
I think that what Bill said is before was the board made that change. Now this is a different board. It's been 8 to 10 years. Some of the situations has changed. He says in here we can terminate it any time, either party. Maybe we could look at it in August and talk to him about it and negotiate. I think this should be a negotiated item. And that's why it should be discussed by the board, not just in the consent
It's-
agenda.
Well, we're having
It's open for
discussion.
negotiation at any time.
Okay.
And I guess, I mean, mine would be, if I'm allowed to, Mr. President, to make a motion to approve the presented contract for Bill Jeter to remain the Board of Education attorney for 2025.
And I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion second. Any other discussion?
I will be voting against it just because I feel like I said before, it's not anything to do with Bill. I like him. I think he does an outstanding job. I just think there's some items that we ought to talk about as a board and see, what he should or couldn't do, and maybe have the option that, he doesn't have to come to if there's a meeting.
Okay.
Why come to all the meetings when we don't have anything to
Yep,
discuss?
fair enough. So this happens in July every year, Mr. Park? So if you would let me know prior to a work session or a meeting, I'd prefer to have that discussion before that contract needs to be approved.
I do have
So-
one more question, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thankfully, luckily, I have not had to experience working with an attorney. What is the normal going rate per hour? Do you know? Like, what would you charge not even just around?
My normal office rate is $290.
Thank you for the discount. Thank you. Thanks.
You can't use them for personal stuff.
I hope I
Okay,
don't have to.
I shall call the vote. All those in favor of approving the contract for our attorney, say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no.
No.
Five, two.
It's not coming. There. It wasn't coming up, sorry.
No.
5-2. Passes 5-2. Executive session? We're good? Okay, I got a couple of questions or comments. August 5th, our retreat, starting at 9 o'clock, is that correct? Are we meeting here?
Yeah.
Okay, agenda coming out,
Well, it'll come out just like, we'll work with you and Jamie.
okay, and then do you have any idea when you think that will be done?
You plan to stay here most of the day. I mean, starting at 9 and, I mean,
3-ish?
3.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
Mr. President,
Yes.
if we have items we'd like to talk about, do we just let you know?
please share, and I will, me and Jamie and Mr. Wilson, we can discuss them then.
Mr. President, as the KSB representative, I'd like to put a plug in for the convention that's coming up. Jess sent that out. We have several people.
No, just two. And just so you know, the Hyatt's already booked. So you will not be staying back.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as it's clean.
So,
It's stated on the bottom of the,
when we did the first registration, it wasn't.
So if you have questions about the state convention, please refer them to Jess, and we'll take care of it that way. Also, as newly appointed president, I'd like to thank Megan and Ken for their year of service. Greatly appreciate it. I'm sure that's time that is spent that probably is not financially reimbursed in any way, but hopefully it was a good experience, and we do appreciate you serving on the board in those facilities. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say yes.
Yes.
I think that's not.
It's not required.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry.